You know, very rarely in life do you get to meet your idols, people that you care about, people that you've looked up to. And we're here today with a very, very special man who has affected my entire life, and because of that, affected the entire world. 2 years ago, I don't think I was speaking on the highest stages, and this man, Brian Walsh, has created a thing called the Real Success Network, and he created Real Summits. I am sure that you've heard of some of our speakers. Who do we have on? We have Les Brown, we have Robin Banks, Mel Robbins, Deepak Chopra, Jack Candy, the list goes on.
And then there's Forbes Riley. Like,
well,
whoa.
I got to tell you, so I'm sitting right next to a very interesting South African, all the way from there, here in my studio in St. Petersburg, Florida. His name is Brian Walsh. Hello.
And I like to say I love Africa, I love South Africa, but I'm a global citizen. This world has become small, and I love that, and I think that's how we should view it. You know,
well,
especially
you
in our space. I do have family, but I mean, especially in our space, I think it's you know, with the pandemic hit, it really just brought everyone together, made you realize it doesn't matter where you live, what color you are, what age you are, whatever. Everyone's got the same challenges and struggles, and I think
except he talks funny. Do you hear that?
I talk clean English. What's wrong with you?
Really? Well, you know, I try to talk the Queen's English, and people just laugh at me, or I talk like I'm from New York.
They will, yeah. But yeah, so I think it's a blessing. I mean, we're kindred spirits. I think I'm finding that with a number of our teachers is we're blessed to do what we really love, which is to just get people to realize that they're so much more than they think they are. I mean, it sounds so cliche, it sounds so simple, but the truth is, you know, it took me forever to figure it out. At the end of the day, we're all worthy of so much more. And I know we know that intellectually, because when I ask people, you know, how much potential do you have, people instinctively go limitless. I'm like, well, you don't live like that, do you? And so clearly there's some challenges and some blocks. So, you know, just bringing people in, we were just talking about it, and just seeing people just even wake up a little bit, just shift, even though it's maybe the beginning of a journey that could be 6 months, it could be 6 years, it doesn't matter. It's profound and it's beautiful and it's wonderful because we all deserve so much more.
If someone does not know what we're up to, so 2 years ago, February 2021 was my first entree into the Real Success, Real Summit platform that you've created that is absolutely global. Tell everybody, what is Real Summits?
So Real Summits is just, so my personal vision is all about connecting people and learning journeys on a global basis. So
slow down. That accent was what?
Connecting people and learning journeys on a global basis, all right? So my 3 highest values: connection, learning, travel. So when we, much like you say, you know, I've always felt I was a teacher. Everyone asked me, I teach entrepreneurship, but I always had this bigger thing about promoting other people, telling people about Dr. DeMartini, telling people about Deepak Chopra, telling people about whoever was impacting my life. Mm-hmm. And I actually got quite a reputation for that because I was so honorable in introducing people to so many people, even though I was teaching entrepreneurship. And so instinctively, when we got the opportunity to start promoting other speakers, it just became a natural thing for us. And what happened is we were doing it as a South African company, promoting some international events outside of South Africa, and then hosting a few international events locally, and obviously promoting local speakers. And then the pandemic hit. And we had done one thing that others hadn't really crossed over to, is we were broadcasting all events around particularly Africa. So when we did a physical event, say in Johannesburg, we were broadcasting it to 12 to 15 other countries simultaneously. So we were and we weren't doing it with lots of money. So we weren't using, Forbes comes from the television industry, like with those big sort of trailers outside and all that kind of money and infrastructure. We were doing it in like these really cost-effective ways in the back of webinars. So when the pandemic hit, and I sort of said to the guys, hey, I think we're all confused. We're all in lockdown, but we should talk. We're the inspirational people. Let's go out and at least talk to people. What's going on? How are you feeling? We were instinctively ready to just do it online, and we did it on just a simple platform back then. We had 89%, we had about 6,000 people attend. We had 30 speakers. It was just crazy.
When did you launch this?
That was in March 2020.
Okay.
And it was April 2020. So we went into South Africa, we went into lockdown 4 days after my birthday in March. I was in a guest house for 7 days, ended up being 7 months.
Oh, wow.
But it was amazing. And we just latched on this thing. And subsequently, we've done 40 of these summits, you know, which are, and always general topic summits: personal development, mindset, financial, health. You know, we tried specialist stuff. What we found is we talked to the whole world. We've had 180 countries attend our summits. We had one session on one of our summits with 162 countries attending in a 4-hour period.
I don't know if I thought there was 162
No, we were in we were like, I didn't even know how many there was. I was saying
Kalamazoo.
We were like doing Google and finding out how many countries are there in the world and who have we not got. And you know, being a South African company, for those from Africa and what have you, you know, we often think of ourselves a little bit lesser than, which is silly, but it's just true. So what a blessing. And what a blessing just to see people of all, because when there's crisis, like it was hard. It was probably 50% perceived crisis versus real crisis. But the point is, it was crisis. We were all panicking and not sure and had anxiety about it. People forget who they are, and all the egos actually just calm down a little bit, and we just become human. And that's what happened at the beginning. Obviously, it didn't actually last, but we managed to position ourselves well like that, and subsequently have put over 1 million people through these summits. And
Hey, don't say
what a
that so
pleasure.
fast for somebody who doesn't realize. Over 1 million people through these summits with some of the best speakers on the planet. You have been wildly successful in growing this. I've been with you for now, in February, it'll be a solid 2 years. And I have watched it grow, the amount of people, the people that we affect. What's the vision for the future?
So the vision's always been to, so what we do is we actually define a connection as somebody investing in themselves and their personal growth journey. It's so natural for you and I, we've been doing it all our lives, but it's not natural for most people out there. And so our vision is to get 1 million people that we can tangibly see started their journey or invested in themselves through our platforms, through our multiple speakers. It's not about the speaker, it's about the journey, right? And so it sounds really weird because we did really well in 2020 and we were pretty profitable. And I said to my team, to get our goal, which was 1 million, we'd need 61 and a half years achieving what we achieved in 2020.
Okay.
And I wasn't prepared to hang out for 61 and a half years.
me neither.
I don't mind still being here then, but I don't know if I want to still be doing exactly the same thing. So the truth is, it doesn't sound like a lot. 1 million out of 7.5 billion people is a drop in the ocean. Right. But it's those 1 million people that, of those 1 million people that will walk that journey, become the better versions of themselves, become the real leaders in whatever fields and areas of interest that'll change the world. So, we work with tens of millions of people, but to get those that actually make that commitment. So it's very tangible for us as a vision, but it's all about that connection. I just want people to constantly challenge themselves to realize that they're better than they are. And we know it intellectually, but we need a lot of assistance to really walk that path and get where our life illustrates that we're getting it, where we were talking about being blessed, living a life where it just feels like, oh my goodness, who knew that there's so much guidance, so much power, so much energy we can latch onto. It's true. But it's hard for you to comprehend that. You might know it intellectually, but you might not be experiencing it. And that's what I just want people to walk those journeys so they get to experience that.
Well, you've set up a platform where a lot of us are teaching, coaching, and learning. I'm a student of a lot of your teachers as much as I am one of the teachers. Beyond this, so now Real Summits is happening. We've got a huge one launching in January. You're gonna have how many people register for this? This is a huge number.
Our target's 500,000.
500,000 for one summit. I love that. Then we're venturing into a women's only that I'm going to be doing with Sharon Lecter, because a little difference between men and women. Sometimes it's nice to have just women. Yeah.
I love the way the woman calls it the women's only. The guy just calls it the women's summit, but because the men are too scared anyway, so there will be a few. But no, we really want to bring a lot more feminine energy into the space. We have a role of leadership to play in the space, as you know. The influence we have is actually quite large when you're a teacher, when you're out there and you're getting a lot of exposure. And, not just me, but many of the top male speakers in the world have actually always proclaimed there needs to be a lot more women doing this. So we want to lead that.
They say that.
I know. But I genuinely do believe that. And so, we're doing this, and we want to be doing at least an annual women's summit, which is exclusively women speakers. And we want to be working with you and Les and others to actually go and find lots of women who tell their stories, help them how to monetize, how to make this whole industry work for them. It's something we can do. It's just something to bring some balance back into the context.
Well, I will tell you, that's how I found you. I was on a mission. I had this vision that there were a lot of male speakers who I've learned from who are brilliant. There were just not enough huge women that I found as role models. And I think one of the things in the 21st century is that we are all looking for someone who looks and sounds and feels like us, which makes it very diverse, because it turns out we're a lot more diverse than we realize. And we've all been looking at a certain kind of, especially in this country, a white male. That's been who founded the country, that's who's been running the country. And I think in the last couple of years, we're deciding, we all need to find our own little niche here. And I said that one day on Clubhouse. That's how Dinah found me. And I was doing a speech there, and I said, I'd like to do that. And the next thing I know, there's an email saying, we would like you to consider this. And so I'm a huge fan of manifestation, of clearing your visions. And I love that Brian's also come on board helping my company find their way, because we're opening a door as a woman who's gone through a lot of personal struggles, took a long time to find out who I was. I even talk about the fact that 20, 30 years ago, when I was going through the height of the Me Too issue, nobody was talking about it. You couldn't tell somebody that this agent or this producer chased me around the desk and said, if I don't put out, I'm going to be shut out. And no one would listen. And so it's been joyous to get to a certain age and time in history. Oh, those things were real. And you know what? We're not going to let that happen anymore for people moving forward. But there's still roads to pave. And for me personally, you've met my offspring, my 19-year-old daughter. What do you think of McKenna?
She's going to work for me. No, I'm kidding. This is an ongoing joke between us. No, she is truly special. I must say, you know, I'm not the most attentive parent myself. Kayla, I love you. She knows, but because I'm very fascinated by parenting, and outcome is actually what counts. You know, a lot of people make mistakes. They think it's such a hard thing to be parents. It's like one of those things that we've lost a lot of contact with because we do it very weirdly nowadays. But the truth is, every child needs the ability to have self-confidence, belief in themselves from a young age, to go out there with confidence to do something. And to see McKenna, yeah, I can't even think of her as 19 when I talk to her. So whatever environment you created, Forbes, and I don't know, I wasn't witnessing you parenting your kids, but you clearly created an environment, you know, where McKenna could become this incredible person at such a young age. And that, by the way, is something you're going to have to teach some people, because we need to help parents create environments for the kids to thrive.
Well, one of the things that you talked about is that I wasn't a teacher back then. I've only recently started teaching at this scale. I was a doer. I was an infomercial host and an actress, and I did a lot of things. And the only two students that I really had for 20 years were my twins. Yeah. And I did actively teach them a lot of the principles now that I teach globally on stages and to a lot of people. So yeah, I would love to share with a lot of parents some of the things that I did. And it was very coordinated. I really had a structure for this. And I never thought about it. Jack Canfield, you know what? Jack doesn't know this. I'm in Chicken Soup for the Soul. They paid $200 for a story. The story was, I wrote it, How to Train Your Kids Like Dogs. I used to train dogs. They made me rewrite it to How to Train Your Babies Like Puppies. But
make it sound a bit softer.
Well, because I'm not chaining my kids to the, but I will tell you there's a whole reward system.
Exactly.
And a way that you communicate, because my theory is that dogs don't speak English. Yet you'll see all these people go, Fido, stop eating my shoes. Why are you, and they're like, he has no idea what you're saying. And so I trained my kids the same way, and Jack was the first person in his books to ever let me do that. Isn't that funny?
And I look, in human behavior, we look at it all the time. It's so ridiculous. We all know that we train animals by rewarding good behavior and ignoring bad behavior. But then when we have kids, we scream at them when they do bad things and ignore their good behavior. Like it's guys, it's not our fault. The parents, it's not our fault. Okay. Like there's been generations of crap going on here, but the truth is we do need to change it. We need to plant the seed so that it changes, so the multiple generations going forward. Because one of our greatest failings as a species right now is having, like my daughter, myself, just about everyone I know when they were 18 or 19 years old, not being sure what they want to do, having lots of self-confidence issues. And it's something that we got to break. And we can't break it in a generation. So therefore, we've got to plant the seeds, that slowly fester, so that in a few generations' time, you'll see children being growing up with that confidence. And it's really not, like you can say it's fault of some people because of ignorance and naivety. But even when you're conscious, like I was, of being a parent and knowing that I shouldn't do certain things, I still couldn't stop myself doing certain things. And I had to catch myself all the time, getting angry with children because they weren't doing what you wanted them to do in the moment, but they were just being children.
I'm sorry, wait. You learned a lot of things in school, right? Did you take that parenting course? Because I didn't. There was none to take.
We didn't have a parenting school.
No, there wasn't one.
No.
And there was not even suggestions on how you raise your kid.
We had nothing.
Right. So you just do what you do. You did what your parents did. And a lot of us, until you stopped that cycle and said, I'm going to consciously raise these kids.
And the hard thing is a lot of us didn't have attentive parents.
Right.
So, my mom died when I was young. I wrote her off at 9. My dad was, amazing man, but just not a great kind of connector with kids. And so, you're very lost. And this is what I say, guys, there's no right or wrong. There's no space for blame in this world. It's one of the biggest mistakes we make because it's just excuses. We want to make an excuse that somebody else's fault, that we're not what we are, which is rubbish. The truth is adversity actually leads to the ability to go and achieve things. Some of the most successful people in the world went through some of the biggest adversity. So truthfully, we should endorse it and say, great, I'm glad I had a tough upbringing because I'm going to go and conquer the world because of that. And it's true, because technically that's what drives people, the void of that pain. But at the end of the day, and it's funny we talk about parenting, because one of the things I'm really passionate about is in our space is starting to develop a movement towards helping better parenting. And so there we go, Forbes. You and I are going to run out of things. At Forbes, I got a list of about 745 things to do in the next week. It's, but I mean, it's, and I believe that the best to do that are the people that have walked that walk. Like I know all the theory, but I didn't walk that walk. You've walked that walk, so you'd be a great mentor just to share the experience of what you did. And ironically, it's not out of a textbook. It's actually out of instinct.
No, and I will tell you that's what's so exciting, to teach things that have never been taught before or to shed light on topics that you've never really consciously thought before. One of the things that I love teaching is how you communicate, what words you use. I speak to people of all range, And I'm listening to the words, and when I play it back to them, you don't realize the languaging.
She gets me with that. She like kicks my butt. Oh.
Well, because no one taught you to speak correctly. In fact, they sooner taught you.
We're not even conscious sometimes. And yet, the thing about unconscious is it's still affecting your mind.
Yes.
So when you are using a negative pattern of words, even though you're not consciously using it, it is consciously programming your mind by using those negative words. And that's why what you do is so brilliant when you say, hey, I don't want to hear, I don't know, I don't want to hear, like this, critical things you always catch us out for saying. And, that's probably what you were doing with your kids.
Oh, that and a whole lot of other things. And I can't wait to share some of this. I had said early on that I'd love to do a parenting book because I have these goofy games. And it comes from improv. It comes from magic. It comes from a lot of things that traditional people never study or care about. And I would love to get all that out. But I will tell you, Brian has been an amazing conductor to not only allow great teachers to do what they do, but to allow everyone, all walks of life, all around the world, access to education that you do not get in schools. I'm a huge endorser of what you've created, and I want to thank you.
Well, I want to thank you and all the other teachers. It's really is a family effort, and I'm just loving this. I mean, I just think we've got so much work to do. It's out of a place of love, and I think that's where it'll always win. And I think that our industry is full of get-rich-quick schemes and people chasing money and, the Ponzi schemes, like all the negative stuff is bundled under our same industry.
Right.
And we're going to change that. We're going to make sure you find a safe place to come where like all our teachers say, if you're in our space, you can trust the teachers, you can trust the delivery, you can trust what you're learning. And I think it's time we really did that collectively as a group of us. And that's what
So I guess we should also say hi and thank you to the whole team backstage that make things happen, from Saj to Gerhard to Sally. Who else would you like to thank?
To Stephen, to Lisa, to
Jeff?
Sam, to Jeff, my coach, to everyone. I think it's, we often don't realize how many people are involved in making things happen, especially like what we do.
Right.
And we often, just like when we parent, we don't often acknowledge when people do things well, or acknowledge, the appreciation to people, which is one of the imbalances in the world. I thank you for that opportunity. I appreciate all you guys. I do try and acknowledge them enough. I don't acknowledge them enough, but I try my hardest.
Wait, did you say try? In my world, if you say try, you have to do 5 push-ups. Uh-oh. We'll do that off camera in just a few minutes.
Yeah, that won't look so good. So No, so absolutely. Incredible team. I love you guys. I love you guys. I love all the teachers. We are one big extended family that's going to transform how the world perceives further education. And wow, we got some fun to have.
I want to say thank you. Again, I'm Forbes Riley, Mr. Brian Walsh. Real summits, real success. We're going to see you, and thank you for watching this. I appreciate your time. We'll see you in the next video.